What if the Queen Mary too sank? Before we begin, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever been on a boat before? Personally, I love being out at sea. Maybe I've got a bit of pirate blood in me somewhere. The Queen Mary II gets her name from the legendary RMS Queen Mary, a 1936 ocean liner celebrated for its luxury and its service during World War II. It's even said that Winston Churchill planned the D-Day invasion while soaking in a bathtub aboard that very ship. Today, the original Queen Mary is permanently docked in Long Beach, California, while her successor, the Queen Mary II, sails between transatlantic routes and the Caribbean. Known as one of the most luxurious ships in the world, the Queen Mary II can carry up to 2,691 passengers and 1,292 crew members. She's massive, though not as large as Royal Caribbean's Symphony of the Seas, which can hold nearly 9,000 people. The Queen Mary II features 18 decks, 15 restaurants and bars, including a Veuve Clicquot champagne bar, 5 swimming pools, a spa, a theater, and even the largest floating library on the planet. When she was built, the Queen Mary II cost an astonishing $460 million, roughly $900 million USD at the time. A major $90 million refurbishment in 2016 only added to her value. Losing her would quite literally be money sinking into the ocean. At 149,215 gross tons and stretching 1,131 feet, 345 meters, she's nearly as tall as the Empire State Building lying on its side. It would take something catastrophic to bring a ship like this down. But if it did happen, it would be one of the greatest peacetime maritime disasters since the Titanic. When the Titanic went down in 1912, 503 of the 2,224 people on board lost their lives, a tragedy that led to the creation of the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea. Thanks to modern safety regulations and technology, the Queen Mary II is equipped to avoid a similar fate. The only realistic threats today would be extreme human error, a major mechanical failure, or a deliberate attack. If the unthinkable did occur and the Queen Mary II began to sink, most passengers would have a fair chance of survival. The ship carries enough lifeboats for everyone, and evacuation drills are routine. Modern communication systems would ensure rapid SOS alerts. Still, in a worst-case scenario, every second would count, especially if the ship were hit hard and began to flood rapidly. The Titanic taught the world one harsh truth: no ship is truly unsinkable. If water breached the hull of the Queen Mary II beyond a certain point, the sheer weight could drag her under. The Titanic took around 2 hours and 40 minutes to sink. How fast the Queen Mary II would go down would depend entirely on the extent of the damage. If she ever did sink, time would be the most crucial factor. Her route also matters. In the winter, she sails the Caribbean, where waters are warm, but in summer she crosses the frigid Atlantic. Warmer seas would at least reduce the risk of hypothermia for survivors, though storms, rough waves, and even sea predators could still pose serious dangers. Even with modern rescue operations, a disaster of this scale would almost certainly result in casualties. The number would depend on how fast she sank and how effectively the evacuation went. It could be a few dozen or several thousand. Either way, it would dominate global headlines for months. If foul play were involved, governments like Britain and the United States would respond decisively. Over time, however, the wreck would likely become a historic site, a haunting underwater monument, much like the Titanic. Interestingly, both ships share a family connection. The Queen Mary II is owned by Cunard Line, which merged with the White Star Line, the company behind the Titanic. Thankfully, the Queen Mary II is extremely safe. However, her predecessor, the original Queen Mary, isn't doing so well. Reports from 2017 revealed she needs over $23 million in urgent repairs to avoid sinking where she's docked. If she were to go down, it would truly mark the end of an era. So, what would happen if the Queen Mary II sank? Hopefully, we'll never find out. Modern engineering makes such an event nearly impossible, but if it did happen, it would be one of the most devastating maritime disasters in modern history. What do you think would happen if the Queen Mary II went down? Let me know in the comments, drop a like, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive.